Procrastination sounds like a complex word that shouldn't have been part of our common vocabulary. But the fact that we all are familiar with the definition of procrastination is solid proof of how dominating its effect is on us. I have been watching productivity gurus like Matt D'Avella, Frank and Ali Abdaal for a long time now, and today I will share what I learned from them about how to beat procrastination and be more healthy, efficient and productive. If you are new here, my name is Refat. I'm a lecturer based in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and on this channel, I share my take on studying, law and productivity. The basic reason for delaying something is just because we don't feel like doing it. Therefore, we think we need some kind of motivation to drive us forward into doing it. But as Jeff Hayden says, motivation is a myth. It is not something you have, it's something you get. Motivation actually comes after starting the work. It's not the cause of your action, it's the result of your action. Doing the work itself is not that hard. It's really starting the work that's difficult. But once you start doing the work, eventually motivation comes along. So you create the motivation for yourself by starting to do the work. Just like you brush your teeth regularly, once you repeatedly keep doing the work, it becomes a habit. That is the ultimate form of motivation where you do not need willpower to do it anymore. But then starting the work itself is pretty hard, right? If you need to start to get motivated, then how do you start? Well, it's hard because starting from scratch is actually difficult. It's very hard even for best-selling authors to start from a blank page. Blank pages are always difficult. Rather, you can start by editing something you have already written. That's much easier to do and you will feel less resistance in doing it. But once you start, you are already writing. The process has already begun and you have done the hard part already. Now, you just have to continue and eventually you will get into the desired flow state. When we procrastinate, we do it by doing something else that may not be productive, but that is something you enjoy doing and so don't need any motivation to do and you don't have any laziness to beat in these cases. Scrolling through social media, watching Netflix or playing video games are all part of the distractions that are tools of procrastination. By human nature, we don't want to study for the exam or prepare for the project that will give us return in the long run. We are generally rather attracted to the distractions that give us instant satisfaction, and so we love the present rewards. We are not patient enough to work for long-term results, but then once we realize the danger of valuing present only and not worrying about future, it is often too late and the unseen future suddenly becomes a dangerous present for us. Telling yourself to stop playing those games or deleting social media apps from mobile is easy, but that's actually quite a big and sudden commitment you have to make with yourself. So you end up not being able to remove these distractions from your life. But what if instead of removing things that you enjoy doing in your life, you could use them to do the necessary tasks? But that's also common. I can tell myself, okay, I can watch this movie after I finish this project. But the project is so huge that reward at the end doesn't attract us enough and we end up watching the movie without finishing the work actually and tell ourselves, okay, I will start after I'm done with this movie. This won't work. So it's much better to reward yourself for getting through parts of your project instead of rewarding yourself at the very end. Breaking down the giant project into small little parts also makes it easier. You can do the small, easier part first that you enjoy more. Then you can feel you have done something after you finish each small part. You won't pressurize yourself during your free time that you haven't been doing the work you are supposed to do. So when it comes to rewarding yourself, you can also enjoy those activities guilt-free. That's a win-win scenario. If you are still struggling to start your work, then you are probably not organizing your tasks properly. It feels productive to create a to-do list filled with many little tasks to feel more productive. But once things pile up, that to-do list becomes a reason for your down feeling. Therefore, as David Allen says in Getting Things Done, if it takes less than 2 minutes, then do it now. It doesn't even have to be exactly under 2 minutes for you. It can vary and be the small amount of time, maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes for you to be able to do that work. Creating that grocery list, filling up your water jar, or sending that reminder email and all other tasks that takes considerably less amount of time, you should do those immediately instead of piling them up in your to-do list and making them harder than it needs to be. This gives you the satisfaction that you need and frees up valuable spaces in your to-do list because there's only so much one can do in a limited time. Parkinson's law is a famous theory in the productivity genre. It basically says that work expands to the time we allocate for it. Therefore, instead of just putting tasks in our daily or weekly to-do list, where you have the entire day or week to do that task, it's better to block or allocate a specific amount of time to do that work. By that, I mean not just allocating 1 hour with that task, but specifying exactly that from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday, you will do that work. In this case, it's always better to underdo the time guessing than overdo it. Because if you cannot finish in under an hour, you can definitely extend it a bit more. Or maybe you are already in the flow at that moment, so it's fine. But if you overdo it, no matter how much excess time is available, you will end up using all the time you allocated for it. Think about student behaviors with exams and assignments. No matter how much time was given for an assignment or to prepare for an exam, you end up having to study overnight right before the day of the deadline at the very last moment. On the other hand, think about the exam itself. You probably spend the most productive time during an exam. Because you are forced to write several pieces of writing in a strictly limited time, you somehow manage to write so much more in 2 or 3 hours than you have ever written in 2 or 3 days. That's really impressive, and that shows how much you have the potential to do if you are just within the right stimulating environment. So when you don't have such strict timeline, you have to create it yourself. You have to break down bigger projects and set separate time blocks in your calendar, and you are only allowed to do just that particular task within that time block. Remember to always keep buffer time between each tasks so that you can use that extra time if you need to, or you can just relax during those buffer times and enjoy life. The pomodoro technique can be really useful in terms of creating or using these time blocks. This is basically setting a 25-minute session to do a task and then taking a 5-minute break and then repeating again. Eventually, you take a long break after 4 or 5 such 25-minute Pomodoro sessions. It doesn't have to be exactly 25 minutes per session for you, but the idea is to set a limited amount of time to challenge yourself to finish the task. Also, it's easier to do something for 25 minutes than it is for hours and hours. And once you commit for 25 minutes, it helps a lot to get into the desired flow state to be able to continue these sessions for hours and hours. As a bonus, you also get short breaks in between to remove fatigues or refresh yourself. Resistance can easily sneak into your task and make you procrastinate. So to stop that, what I have learned and practiced so far is that you need to create your own motivation and make it easy to start. You need to transform distractions into tools of productivity and complete small tasks immediately. You need to set separate time block for each part of a task and start bashing through them in small sessions. This is how I have been able to manage my studies as a full-time law student besides a full-time university teaching job and still make time to run this YouTube channel so far. I hope you liked this video and what I shared would be useful to you to get things done. I have been trying to shoot videos with me in the shot, but have been facing various challenges myself in doing so, and therefore I end up using stock footages. I'm constantly trying to make things better with this channel, and so it would mean a lot to me if you can show your support by subscribing to the channel. Also, check out this playlist I have created for you with more ways on how to be more productive. Thanks for watching and see you later.